The warning lights came too late. Taman saw the flash first, a bright white burst from inside the power junction box. His hands moved before his brain could catch up. He grabbed Kix by two of his forearms and yanked the Vrelian technician backward. The explosion followed a heartbeat later, sending metal shards spinning through the corridor like angry wasps. Heat washed over Taman's face. He felt the sting of it on his hands, sharp and immediate. When the smoke cleared, he was still standing. So was Kix, all four of his purple eyes blinking in shock. "You saved me," Kix said, his translator device turning his chittering sounds into flat, emotionless words. "Your reflexes are remarkable." Taman looked down at his hands. They were red, the skin tight and angry-looking. Small blisters were already forming across his knuckles. He flexed his fingers experimentally. Everything still worked. The pain was there, dull and throbbing, but manageable. "I'm fine," Taman said. He shook his hands out, trying to cool them. "Just a little burned." "You need medical attention." Kix's voice was firm despite the translator's monotone delivery. "That was a plasma discharge. Your flesh could be damaged internally." Taman wanted to argue. He had work to finish. The power grid repair was only half done, and the station needed full capacity before the supply ships arrived next week. But Kix was already tapping his communicator, calling for a medical transport. 20 minutes later, Taman sat on an examination table in the medical bay of Osiris-7 station. The room was large and strange, designed to accommodate the many different species that lived and worked in Coalition space. The ceiling was twice as tall as any human hospital, with examination equipment hanging from rails above. Everything smelled clean but unfamiliar, like metal and something sweet he couldn't identify. Dr. Nala entered through a door that spiraled open instead of sliding. She was Luvanthi, her body made of what looked like living crystal. Light refracted through her skin in rainbow patterns as she moved. Her eyes were multifaceted like a fly's, but much larger and somehow expressive despite their alien geometry. "You are the human engineer," Dr. Nala said. Her voice had a musical quality like wind chimes. Kix reported the incident. "Let me see your injuries." Taman held out his hands. The redness had faded some, but the blisters were more pronounced now. Dr. Nala's crystalline fingers were cool as she turned his hands over, examining them from different angles. "Interesting," she murmured. Human skin responds to thermal damage differently than expected. The cellular structure is remarkably flexible. She moved to a console and activated a scanning device. A blue light washed over Taman's hands. On the screen above them, an image appeared. Taman recognized the basic shape of his hand bones, but everything else looked like a confusion of lines and shadows. Dr. Nala leaned closer to the screen. Her body went very still. "What is this?" she asked. Taman looked at the scan. "What is what?" "This." Dr. Nala pointed at the screen with one crystalline finger. "There are structures beneath your skin. They're moving." Taman watched the scan. He could see what she meant now. There were cord-like things running along his bones, and as he flexed his fingers slightly, they seemed to slide and shift. "That's just my hand," Taman said slowly. "That's normal." "Normal?" Dr. Nala's multifaceted eyes fixed on him. "You have independent organisms living inside your tissue?" "What? No!" Taman pulled his hands back instinctively. "Those aren't organisms. Those are just parts of me." Dr. Nala tapped rapidly on her console. The scan zoomed in, showing more detail. The moving structures were everywhere. Bundles of them running parallel to each other, connecting to his bones at regular intervals. "These structures are contracting and expanding in coordinated patterns," Dr. Nala said. Her musical voice had an edge to it now. "They appear to be controlling your skeletal movement. This is a parasitic relationship. It's not parasites." Taman felt a flutter of panic in his chest. "I've had these my whole life. Every human has these. We need them to move." Dr. Nala turned away from the screen to look at him directly. "You are telling me that your species relies on internal organisms to achieve basic motor function?" "They're not organisms." Taman tried to think of the right words. Medical terminology wasn't his strong suit. He was an engineer, not a doctor. They're parts of my body, like your crystals are parts of your body." "My crystalline lattice is grown from a single seed structure," Dr. Nala said. "It is unified. She gestured at the screen. "These are thousands of individual cords, each moving independently but somehow in harmony. This appears highly inefficient and vulnerable to damage." Taemin opened his mouth to respond, but Dr. Nala was already moving. She tapped her communicator. "Medical team to examination room 7, she said. "We have a xenobiological situation that requires immediate consultation." "Wait," Taemin said. "I don't think this is that serious. I just need some burn cream or something." Dr. Nala ignored him. She was already pulling up more scans, her crystalline fingers dancing across the console. The screen split into multiple images, showing different angles of his hand. In each one, those mysterious moving structures were visible beneath the skin. "How do you control them?" Dr. Nala asked without looking away from the screens. "If they are truly part of you and not separate organisms, how does your nervous system coordinate so many individual components?" "I don't know," Taemin admitted. "I just think about moving my hand and it moves. I don't have to think about each individual. Whatever those are." "Remarkable," Dr. Nala whispered. "And terrifying." The door spiraled open again. 3 more medical staff entered. Taemin recognized one of them immediately, Dr. Hyo Sung, one of the only other humans working on Osiris 7 Station. Relief flooded through him. "Hyo Sung," Taemin called out. "Can you please explain to them that I'm not infested with parasites?" Dr. Hyo Sung looked at the scans on the screen. His eyebrows rose. Then, to Taemin's surprise, he started laughing. "Oh no," Hyo Sung said between laughs. "Oh, this is perfect. Nala, tell me you didn't just discover muscles." "Muscles?" Dr. Nala's voice carried a note of confusion. "What are muscles?" Hyo Sung walked to the console and pointed at the moving structures on the screen. These are muscles, and those thinner ones are tendons. They're how humans move, how we all move." The other 2 medical staff members moved closer to look. One was insectoid with a hard shell and too many legs. The other looked like a floating jellyfish with bioluminescent spots. Both of them stared at the screen with what Taemin guessed was fascination. "All humans have these?" the insectoid doctor asked. His clicking voice was sharp and precise. "Every human," Hyo Sung confirmed. "Every mammal on Earth, actually. Most Earth animals. It's basic biology for us. But how do you function if they're damaged?" Dr. Nala asked. "One severed connection would disable the entire limb." Hyo Sung's smile faded slightly. "Well, that's where it gets interesting." He turned to look at Taemin, and there was something in his expression that made Taemin uneasy. "Actually," Hyo Sung said slowly, "I think you all need to see something. Computer Access Coalition Military Database. Show the medical footage from the human-Krell border conflict. Authorization code Hyo Sung 77 Alpha." The screen flickered and changed. Taemin saw a battlefield, human soldiers, and things he didn't want to remember. His hands clenched involuntarily on the examination table. On the scan beside the video, the muscles in his hands contracted and released, pulling his bones into fists. Dr. Nala watched both screens, and her crystalline body seemed to dim slightly. "What manner of species are you?" she whispered. The medical bay filled with more doctors and specialists over the next hour. Taemin sat on the examination table, feeling like an exhibit at a museum while alien medical professionals crowded around the scanning equipment. His burned hands were forgotten now. Everyone wanted to see the muscles. Dr. Nala had called in her entire xenobiology team. Besides Dr. Hyo Sung and the insectoid doctor called Velmis, there was now a young human woman named Bo-Ra. She was an intern, fresh from Earth's medical academy, and she looked almost as uncomfortable as Taemin felt. "Can someone please just treat my burns?" Taemin asked for the 3rd time. "Your burns are minor," Dr. Velmis said without looking away from the screens. His translator made his clicking speech sound clinical and cold. "First-degree thermal damage to the epidermis. They will heal on their own. This, however," he gestured at the muscle scans with one of his many legs. "This is unprecedented." Bo-Ra approached with a medical scanner, smaller than the one Dr. Nala had used. "May I?" she asked Taemin. "I want to do a full body scan. If Dr. Nala is right, these structures should be throughout your entire body." Taemin nodded and lay back on the table. The scanner hummed to life, moving slowly from his head to his toes. On the main screen, the image that appeared made several of the alien doctors step back. Taemin's entire body was filled with them. Hundreds, maybe thousands of these cord-like structures layered over each other, wrapping around bones, connecting everything together. They moved constantly, tiny contractions and releases even when he tried to stay perfectly still. His heart beating, his lungs breathing, even his eyes moving. All of it showed as coordinated muscle activity. "This is impossible," Dr. Nala said quietly. "The complexity. The number of individual systems working in parallel. How does your neural network manage this?" "I told you," Hyosung said. He was leaning against a counter, arms crossed, looking amused. "It's automatic. We don't think about it. A human child learns to walk, and after that, the brain just handles all the muscle coordination without conscious thought." Dr. Velmus moved closer to the screen, his antennae twitching. "Show me the redundancy," he said. "If one of these muscle structures fails, what happens?" Bora manipulated the scan, highlighting Taemin's right arm. "See these bundles? There are multiple muscles that can perform the same function. If one is damaged, others can compensate. Not perfectly, but enough to maintain basic function." "That's not possible," Dr. Nala said. "The energy cost alone. Maintaining this many individual systems. Humans eat a lot," Hyosung said with a shrug. "Compared to most species, we need a lot of calories. This is why." Taemin watched the doctors examining his scans. He'd never really thought about his muscles before. They were just there, just part of being alive. But seeing them displayed like this, seeing how alien it appeared to everyone else, made him see himself differently. "Can we discuss the vulnerability issue?" Dr. Velmus asked. "In my species, we have an exoskeleton. If it's damaged, we can seal it and continue functioning. But these muscles, if they're cut, torn, damaged, the entire system would fail, would it not?" "Actually," Hyosung said, and his smile returned. "That's the interesting part. Bora, pull up the combat footage." Bora's fingers moved across her tablet. The screens changed, showing what looked like helmet camera footage from a battlefield. Taemin recognized it immediately. The Krell conflict from 2 years ago. He'd been in engineering school on Earth when it happened, watching the news reports with growing horror. The footage showed a human soldier, a woman in combat armor. Her name tag read Yunji. She was behind cover, firing at something off-screen. Then something hit her. A Krell plasma bolt that tore through her left forearm. The armor there shredded, and Taemin could see the wound even through the low-quality footage. The alien doctors gasped or made their species-equivalent sounds of shock. The wound was catastrophic. Flesh hung open and the white of bone was visible. But Yunji didn't stop. She switched her rifle to her right hand and kept firing. Her left arm hung at her side, blood dripping, but she was still moving, still fighting. "That should be impossible," Dr. Nala whispered. "The trauma? The system failure. The muscles in her left forearm were about 40% destroyed," Hyosung explained. "But the remaining 60% could still function. Not well, she couldn't use that hand for fine motor control. But she could still move, still survive. And that's what matters." More footage played. Human soldiers with injuries that should have been incapacitating, still functioning. A man with a deep laceration across his thigh, limping but running. A woman with her shoulder torn open, still dragging a wounded comrade to safety. "This is disturbing," Dr. Velmus said. "They should be in shock. The pain alone should render them unconscious." "Humans produce natural chemicals that suppress pain during extreme stress," Bora explained. She looked pale, probably from watching the footage. "Adrenaline, endorphins. It's a survival mechanism. Our bodies know that stopping means dying, so they keep going." Dr. Nala turned away from the screens. Her crystalline body seemed dimmer than before, like a light had gone out inside her. "I need to understand the healing process," she said. "Surely such damage is permanent." Hyosung pulled up another file. "This is Yunji from the footage. This scan is from 6 months after her injury." The screen showed an arm. There was scar tissue visible, a thick line of it where the plasma bolt had hit, but underneath the muscles had reformed. Not perfectly. The scan showed denser tissue, irregular patterns. But it was functional. The muscles regenerated. Dr. Velmus's antennae were standing straight up now. "They grew back?" "Not exactly," Bora said. "Muscle tissue has limited regenerative capacity. What happened here is that the surviving muscle fibers hypertrophied, grew larger, to compensate for the lost tissue. Scar tissue formed to bridge the gaps. Physical therapy helped retrain the neural pathways. It took months, and she'll never have full strength in that arm again. But she can use it. She can live normally." "Normally," Dr. Nala repeated. "You call this normal?" Taemin sat up on the examination table. "Can I add something?" he asked. Everyone turned to look at him. He felt suddenly self-conscious, but he continued anyway. I'm not a soldier, he said. I've never been in combat. But when I was 12, I had a farming accident. A machine caught my shirt and pulled me in. It tore through my stomach muscles before my dad could shut it off. He lifted his shirt. The scar was there, a long pale line across his abdomen. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Physical therapy for 3 months. But look, he flexed his abdominal muscles. On the scan still showing on the screen, the muscles contracted and released. The scar tissue was visible as denser material, but the muscles themselves were intact, functional. Dr. Velmus scuttled closer to examine the scar directly. His compound eyes reflected Taemin's skin in fractured images. You should have permanent motor function loss, he said. The damage was extensive. I can see it in the scan. How did the muscles reconnect? They just did, Taemin said. With surgery and time. My doctor said I was lucky, but this isn't that unusual. Humans recover from this kind of injury all the time. All the time, Dr. Nala echoed. She seemed to be having trouble processing this. Your species regularly survives catastrophic damage to your primary movement systems. Well, Taemin said, we try not to get injured. But yes, when we do, we usually heal. Bora pulled up more data on her tablet. I have comparative statistics here. Human muscle tissue, when damaged, initiates an inflammatory response. Satellite cells activate and begin division. Scar tissue forms temporarily, then remodels over time. The process takes weeks to months, but most muscle injuries heal to at least 70% of original function. And you can make them stronger, Hyo-sung added. That's another thing. Humans deliberately damage their muscles through exercise and they grow back stronger. It's how we build strength. You deliberately damage yourselves? Dr. Velmus sounded horrified. Controlled damage, Hyo-sung clarified. Weightlifting, resistance training. We stress the muscle fibers until they tear microscopically. Then they heal back denser and stronger. It's called hypertrophy. The alien doctors stared at him in silence. Finally, Dr. Nala spoke. Your entire species is built for damage recovery, she said slowly. You're not just resilient. You're designed to break and reform. What kind of evolutionary pressure creates such a system? Before anyone could answer, the door spiraled open. A human in military uniform stepped through. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with close-cropped black hair and hard eyes. His name tag read Yeon-ho. Dr. Nala, he said, his voice formal. I'm Commander Yeon-ho, Coalition Security. I've been monitoring the situation. We need to talk about the implications of what you've discovered here. Dr. Nala's crystalline body brightened slightly. Anxiety, maybe. Implications? The Krell are planning another offensive against human colonies, Yeon-ho said. They think we're weak. They think our soft biology makes us easy targets. He looked at the scan still displayed on the screens. I think they're wrong. But they need to understand what they're facing before they make a mistake we'll all regret. He turned to face the assembled medical staff. I need you to prepare a report on human physiology. A complete one. The council needs to see this. A report for what purpose? Dr. Nala asked. Yeon-ho's expression was grim. To prevent a war. Because once the Krell understand what humans are actually capable of, what we're built for, what kind of planet made us this way. He paused. They need to understand that they're not facing an easy target. They're facing survivors, and there's a difference. Commander Yeon-ho left after an hour of discussion, but his request hung over the medical bay like a weight. Dr. Nala had agreed to prepare a comprehensive report on human physiology, but she insisted on understanding the complete picture first. That meant diving deeper into human evolutionary history. Taemin was finally allowed to leave the examination table. Bora treated his burns with a synthetic skin gel that cooled the sting immediately, but she asked him to stay, to help explain things from a human perspective. He agreed, curious now despite himself. The medical bay's main screen displayed Earth rotating slowly in space, blue and green and white, beautiful and familiar. To Taemin, it was just home. But Dr. Nala was reading the planet's statistics with what he could only interpret as growing alarm. 9.8 meters per second squared, she read. That's your surface gravity? That's normal for us, Hyo-sung said. He was sitting now looking tired. 1G standard. Standard for you, perhaps. Dr. Velmus scuttled across the floor to get a better view of the screen. Coalition standard is 7 meters per second squared. Your home planet has 40% higher gravity than what most species consider normal. So we're heavier on our own planet. Taman said with a shrug. We evolved there. We're adapted to it. Adapted, Dr. Nala repeated. She was pulling up more data now, her crystalline fingers moving rapidly. Look at this. Your entire skeletal structure is denser than most species. Your bone composition includes higher concentrations of calcium and phosphorus. And your muscles. She gestured at a new scan. Your muscles are constantly working against a gravitational force that would exhaust most species within hours. Bora nodded, understanding where this was going. Every step a human takes on Earth is resistance training, she explained. Every time we stand up, sit down, reach for something, we're fighting against gravity. Our muscles don't just move us, they hold us up against constant downward force. You're not walking, Dr. Velmus said slowly. You're constantly lifting yourselves, every moment of every day. I never thought about it that way, Taman admitted. But yes, I guess so. Dr. Nala pulled up more Earth data, climate information, geological history, atmospheric composition. Your planet has extreme temperature variations, she observed. From -40 degrees to +50 degrees Celsius. Violent weather systems, tectonic instability. We have houses, Taman said, and heating and air conditioning. It's not that bad. Not that bad. Dr. Nala's musical voice held a note he couldn't identify. Your species evolved to survive temperature swings that would kill most coalition species. You maintain internal temperature regulation through... She pulled up another file. Through metabolic heat generation and active cooling systems. Sweat glands. Everyone sweats, Taman said. No, Hyosung corrected gently. Most species don't. Luvanthi regulate temperature through crystal structure changes. Vrelians use their fluid systems. Threx are cold-blooded. Humans are actually unusual in having active liquid-based cooling. Bora was pulling up more historical data now. We should show them the megafauna records, she said. The screen changed again. This time it showed reconstructions of extinct Earth animals. Massive cats with knife-like teeth, bears the size of small vehicles, wolves that hunted in coordinated packs. These creatures shared territory with your ancestors? Dr. Velmus asked. For millions of years, Bora confirmed. Early humans couldn't outfight these predators. Our teeth are blunt, our claws non-existent. We have no natural armor, no venom, no defensive adaptations. So we developed different strategies, such as... Dr. Nala leaned closer to the screen. Persistence hunting, Hyosung said. Our ancestors would identify prey, usually something fast like an antelope. Then they would chase it. Not sprint, we're not built for sprinting. But steady running for hours, sometimes for an entire day. The prey would run away, Bora continued, but humans would follow. Track them. The prey would stop to rest and humans would appear again. This would continue until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. Then humans would simply walk up and kill it. Dr. Velmus's antennae twitched rapidly. You ran prey to death? That's your hunting strategy? Was, Taman corrected. We don't hunt like that anymore. But our bodies are still built for it. Humans are endurance runners. We might not be the fastest, but we can keep going longer than almost anything else. Dr. Nala was silent for a long moment. Then she pulled up medical scans again, this time comparing multiple species. Human cardiovascular systems appeared alongside Vrelian pressure bladders and Luvanthi crystalline circulation networks. Your heart is a muscle, Dr. Nala observed. A single muscle that beats continuously, approximately 60 to 100 times per minute every minute for your entire life. Yes, Bora confirmed. The human heart will beat about 2.5 billion times over an average lifespan. And it never stops? Never rests? It rests between beats, Hyosung said. But no, it never fully stops until we die. Dr. Nala's body dimmed again. This is beginning to make terrible sense. Your planet's gravity requires constant muscle activity. Your climate requires advanced temperature regulation. Your predators required extreme endurance. Every aspect of your evolution was pressure. Constant pressure to keep moving, keep surviving, keep functioning despite damage and exhaustion. I suppose so, Taman said. He'd never really thought about it in those terms. Earth was just Earth, humans were just humans. But seeing it through alien eyes, he was beginning to understand how unusual it all was. Bora pulled up another file. I think you need to see this, she said quietly. These are skeletal remains from early humans. Archaeological findings from 10,000 to 50,000 years ago. The screen showed bones. Human bones, but old, preserved in stone and sediment. Many of them showed signs of damage, fractures that had healed, bone growth around injuries, evidence of infections that had been survived. This individual, Bora pointed to one skeleton, had a broken femur that healed. That's the largest bone in the human body. Breaking it should be fatal. Unable to run, unable to hunt, unable to escape predators. But this person survived. The bone healed probably over several months. They had to have had help, had to have been protected and fed by their group while they recovered. And then they lived for decades more. We can tell from the bone wear. Community support, Dr. Nala said. You protect your injured. Always have, Hyosung said. Humans are social. We take care of each other. It's another survival strategy. More skeletons appeared on screen, one with a healed skull fracture, another with evidence of a spinal injury that had been survived, a child's bones showing signs of a disease that should have been fatal, but the child had lived to adulthood. Your ancestors refused to die, Dr. Velmus said. Even with catastrophic injuries, they survived. They healed. Or they didn't, Taman said quietly. Plenty of humans died from injuries. Still do, we're not invincible. But we're stubborn. We don't give up easily. Dr. Nala turned away from the screens. She was quiet for a long time, her crystalline body refracting the medical bay's lights into soft rainbow patterns on the walls. I need to ask something, she finally said, about your modern technology. You've mentioned medical advances, but I need to understand the extent. What can human medicine do now? Bora exchanged a glance with Hyosung. A lot, she said carefully. We can replace damaged organs with synthetic ones. We can regenerate nerve tissue to some degree. We can treat most infections, repair most injuries. Combat medicine has advanced significantly. Soldiers can survive wounds that would have been fatal 50 years ago. And there are rumors, Dr. Velmus added, of augmentation programs. Humans voluntarily enhancing their bodies beyond natural capability. That's classified military research. Yunho's voice came from the doorway. Nobody had noticed him return. But yes, there are programs exploring human enhancement. We can already create synthetic muscle tissue that's stronger than natural muscle. We can reinforce skeletal structures with composite materials. We're researching neural enhancement for faster reaction times. He walked into the room, his military boots making solid sounds on the floor. The thing you need to understand is this. Humans don't seek conflict. We're not warriors by nature. We're engineers, farmers, artists, scientists. But we're also survivors. Every human alive is the descendant of thousands of generations of survivors. People who refused to die when everything was trying to kill them. That's what worries me, Dr. Nala said softly. Not what humans are now, but what you could become. If you apply your technology to your already formidable biology, we'll remain human, Timon said. He surprised himself by speaking, but the words felt important. We might get stronger or faster or tougher, but we'll still be the species that takes care of injured group members. That runs marathons for fun. That builds space stations and invites aliens to work alongside us. He gestured around the medical bay. We're here, aren't we? On a coalition station working together trying to understand each other. Dr. Nala looked at him for a long moment. Then she turned to Yunho. I'll prepare your report, she said. But I'm adding a recommendation. The Krell need to understand what they would be facing, yes. But more than that, the Council needs to understand what kind of species they've welcomed into the coalition. Not as a warning, but as context. Context for what? Yunho asked. For why humans should be allies, not enemies, Dr. Nala said. Because a species that can survive what you've survived, that can endure what you can endure, that species should be on our side. Yunho nodded slowly. I'll arrange for you to present to the full council, 1 week from today. After he left, Taemin finally stood up from where he'd been sitting. His legs ached from staying still so long, ironic given what they'd been discussing. His burned hands felt better. The gel Bora had applied working its way into the damaged tissue, starting the healing process. Can I ask you something? He said to Dr. Nala. Of course. When you first saw the muscles in my hand, you were scared. Are you still scared? Dr. Nala's crystalline body brightened slightly. Yes, she said honestly. But not of you. I'm scared of what it means that a universe capable of creating Earth also created everything else. If your planet demanded such extreme adaptation just to survive, what else is out there that we haven't discovered yet? Taemin looked at the image of Earth still rotating on the screen. Home. Beautiful. deadly, perfect in its imperfection. "I guess we'll find out together," he said. The Coalition Council chamber was enormous. Taman stood at the entrance and felt suddenly very small. The room was designed to accommodate representatives from 47 different species, each with their own environmental needs and physical requirements. Some areas were filled with water for aquatic species. Others had elevated platforms for flyers. The temperature varied by section, from near freezing to uncomfortably hot. In the center of it all was the presentation platform, currently empty. Waiting. "Nervous?" Bora asked beside him. She was carrying a case full of scanning equipment and data tablets. "Very," Taman admitted. He was wearing his best clothes, a simple dark suit that felt too formal for an engineer. "I still don't understand why I need to be here." "Because you're proof," Dr. Nala said. She had joined them in the corridor, her crystalline body reflecting the chamber's varied lights. Data and scans are one thing. A living human who can answer questions and demonstrate is another. Commander Yan Ho appeared from a side entrance, accompanied by another human in military uniform. The soldier was young, maybe mid-20s, with the lean build of a distance runner. His name tag read, Dae Jung. "Everyone ready?" Yan Ho asked. "As ready as we can be," Dr. Hyo-sung replied. He was reviewing notes on his tablet, looking more nervous than Tae-min had ever seen him. The chamber doors opened fully. Inside, the council was assembled. Tae-min had never seen so many different species in one place. Crystalline Luvanthi like Dr. Nala, purple-skinned Vrelians with their 4 arms, insectoid Threx with their compound eyes, floating jellyfish like Quillari, and dozens of others he couldn't even name. And in one section, surrounded by what looked like environmental shielding, were the Krell. Large, reptilian, with scales that ranged from deep green to almost black. Their eyes were cold and calculating. 3 of them sat in the Krell delegation area, watching the presentation platform with obvious disinterest. "Species and delegates of the Coalition," a voice announced through the chamber's speakers. "We present Dr. Nala of Luvanthi, speaking on xenobiological findings regarding humanity." Dr. Nala walked to the platform. Tae-min and the others followed, taking positions around the holographic display equipment that had been set up. "Honored Council," Dr. Nala began, her musical voice amplified through the chamber. "1 week ago, a human engineer came to my medical bay with minor injuries. What I discovered during his examination has significant implications for our understanding of human physiology and capability." The holographic display activated. Taemin's hand appeared, floating 3 meters tall in the center of the chamber. The bones were visible and wrapped around them, the muscles. As Tae-min flexed his actual hand, the hologram mirrored the movement. Muscles contracted and released, tendons pulled, joints pivoted. Murmurs spread through the council. Several species shifted in their seats or made their equivalent gestures of surprise. "What you are observing is the human muscular system," Dr. Nala continued. "Humans utilize hundreds of individual muscle structures, each capable of independent contraction to achieve movement. This system is present throughout the entire human body." The hologram changed to show a full human body, a generic scan, not Tae-min specifically. The muscles were highlighted in red, creating a complex network that covered almost every part of the body. "How many individual muscles?" a Threx delegate asked, his clicking voice sharp. "Over 600 major muscle groups," Dr. Hyo-sung answered, "each capable of damage and recovery, each providing redundancy for the system." "Redundancy?" The question came from a Vrelian delegate. "Explain." Bora stepped forward. "If a human damages one muscle, adjacent muscles can compensate for the loss. Function is reduced but not eliminated. Unlike species with unified movement systems, humans can sustain significant damage and continue operating." "Operating at what capacity?" one of the Krell delegates asked. His voice was deep and rough even through the translators. "If damaged, surely efficiency drops below functional levels." "Let me show you," Dr. Nala said. She pulled up the combat footage from the Krell conflict. The chamber fell silent as the video played. Onji appeared, firing her weapon, taking the plasma hit to her forearm. The wound was visible even on the hologram, flesh torn open, bone exposed, and then she switched hands and kept fighting. This soldier sustained 40% muscle destruction in her forearm, Dr. Nala explained. By most species standards, this should have resulted in complete limb failure. Instead, she continued combat operations for 6 more minutes before receiving medical attention. More footage played. Human soldiers with injuries that should have been crippling, still moving, still fighting. The council watched in what Taman interpreted as a mixture of fascination and horror. This appears to be extreme pain tolerance, a Luvanthi delegate observed. Surely these soldiers were in shock, operating on instinct alone. Actually, Yanho said, stepping forward, humans are trained to operate through pain. We produce natural chemicals that suppress pain response during high-stress situations, adrenaline, endorphins. But more than that, humans can consciously choose to continue despite pain. We call it willpower. Willpower is not a medical term, the Krell delegate objected. No, Yanho agreed, but it's a human reality. We can decide to keep going when our bodies tell us to stop. It's one of our defining characteristics. I find this difficult to believe, the Krell delegate said. His scales rippled, a sign of agitation. These videos could be falsified. Humans may be exaggerating their capabilities. Then let's demonstrate, Yanho said. He gestured to Daejung. This is Specialist Daejung, human military. If the council permits, I'd like to propose a practical test. The council members conferred among themselves. Finally, the head delegate, a floating Quillari with bioluminescent patterns, spoke. What kind of test? An endurance trial, Yanho said. A simple test of sustained physical activity. We'll compare human capability against any volunteer from the council delegations. The Krell delegate stood. He was massive, at least 2.5 meters tall, with thick scales and heavy muscle mass under his reptilian skin. I volunteer, he said. Warrior Throck of the Krell Third Fleet, I accept your challenge. This isn't a challenge, Yanho said carefully. It's a demonstration. Then demonstrate, Throck said. Show us how formidable humans claim to be. The council agreed to the test. Within an hour, the chamber had been reconfigured. A track was set up in the central area, a simple loop about 400 meters around. Medical monitoring equipment was attached to both Daejung and Throck. The rules were simple. Continuous movement, at least at walking pace. First one to stop loses. Taemin stood with Dr. Nala and Bo-Ra at the medical monitoring station. He watched as Daejung and Throck took their positions at the starting line. This seems dangerous, Bo-Ra whispered. Throck is twice Daejung's size. Size isn't the advantage here, Dr. Nala said quietly. I've reviewed the data. This will be educational. The start signal sounded. Both competitors began moving, starting with a steady jog. Throck's reptilian legs ate up the distance with long strides. Daejung's pace was shorter, more controlled but just as fast. After the first hour, both were still moving steadily. Throck showed no signs of fatigue. Neither did Daejung. After 2 hours, Throck's pace had slowed slightly. His breathing was heavier. The medical monitors showed his body temperature rising. After 3 hours, sweat was pouring down Daejung's face and arms. His shirt was soaked with it, but his pace remained steady, his breathing rhythmic. Throck's movements were becoming less smooth, more labored. Look at the thermal scans, Dr. Nala said, pointing to her monitor. Throck's core temperature is approaching dangerous levels. He's an ectotherm. His species doesn't regulate internal temperature as efficiently as humans. And Daejung? Taemin asked. Sweating, Dr. Nala said. His body is actively cooling itself through evaporation. Brilliant adaptation. 4 hours in, Throck was struggling visibly. His scales had darkened, a sign of heat stress. His steps were uneven. The medical monitors showed dangerous levels of metabolic stress. Daejung was tired, that was obvious. But he was still running. His form was still good. His breathing was still controlled. After 5 hours, Throck stopped. He simply stopped moving, his legs locking up, his entire body shaking with exhaustion. Medical staff rushed to him, providing cooling measures and hydration. Daejung kept running. The council chamber was completely silent now. Every delegate was watching the human soldier complete lap after lap. His pace had slowed, but he was still moving. Still going. How long can he continue? A Vrelian delegate asked. Yanho checked his tablet. Daejung's personal record for continuous running is about 42 kilometers. That's roughly a 4-hour marathon pace. But under military stress tests, he's gone for 8 hours before. He'll probably run for at least another hour before we stop him for health reasons. 8 hours, the Quillari head delegate repeated. Continuous physical exertion for 8 hours. Some humans have run for over 24 hours, Bo-Ra added. Ultra-marathon runners. There are documented cases of humans running for 48 hours or more with minimal rest. Dr. Nala stepped up to the council platform. "This is what I wanted you to understand," she said. "Humans are not built for explosive power like the Krell. They're not built for efficiency like Luvanthi. They're built for endurance, for refusing to stop. Their muscles can operate at sustainable levels for hours, days even. Their cardiovascular systems support continuous activity that would kill most species. Their cooling systems prevent overheating. Their metabolic processes can sustain activity on stored energy reserves for extended periods. They're pursuit predators," Dr. Velmus added, his clicking voice echoing. "I reviewed Earth's evolutionary history. Humans evolved to chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They didn't need to be faster or stronger. They just needed to keep going longer than anything else." On the track, Daejung completed another lap. 6 hours now. His face was red with exertion, his clothes completely soaked, but he was still running. The Krell delegate who had been arguing earlier stood up. "I withdraw my skepticism," he said formally. "This demonstration has been enlightening." "That's not even the most impressive part," Yanho said. He pulled up Daejung's medical file. "This soldier sustained a severe leg injury 18 months ago during the Krell conflict. Compound fracture of the tibia. He was told he might never run again." He zoomed in on the scan showing the leg bone. The fracture line was still visible as denser bone tissue where it had healed. Human bones, when broken and healed properly, often become stronger at the break point than the original bone. Daejung underwent surgery, physical therapy, and progressive training. Now he's running 6-hour endurance tests on a leg that was shattered less than 2 years ago. The council was silent. Taemin watched Daejung run another lap. He thought about his own scar, his own healed injuries. Every human carried these stories. Broken bones that healed, torn muscles that regenerated, injuries that should have been permanent but weren't. "You asked what kind of evolutionary pressure creates such a species," Dr. Nala said to the council. "The answer is Earth, a high-gravity planet with extreme climate variation, aggressive megafauna, and constant environmental challenges. Humans evolved to survive because anything less than constant survival meant death. They learned to heal because they had to. They learned to endure because giving up meant extinction." She turned to look at Taemin, then at Daejung still running, then back to the council. "The question before us is not whether humans are dangerous. Any species can be dangerous. The question is whether we want humans as allies or enemies. Because I assure you, a species that refuses to stop, that heals from catastrophic injury, that can outlast almost any other life form, that species will determine its own fate regardless of opposition." The Quillari head delegate's bioluminescent patterns shifted to a softer glow. "The council recognizes the significance of these findings. We will take them under advisement," Yanho finally signaled to Daejung. The soldier slowed to a walk, then stopped. He bent over, hands on his knees, breathing hard. Medical staff rushed to him with water and cooling towels. Taemin watched him. This soldier who had just run for 6 hours to prove a point, to show the galaxy what humans were capable of. And he realized something. They were all like this. Every human. Built for endurance. Built to survive. Built to refuse to quit. It was terrifying and beautiful at the same time. 3 days after the council demonstration, Taemin returned to his normal work schedule. The power grid repairs on Osiris 7 station still needed finishing. His hands had healed completely. The burns were gone, replaced by slightly pink skin that would fade to normal in another week. Human healing, doing what it always did. But things had changed. As he walked through the station corridors, other species looked at him differently now. Some with curiosity, some with respect, some with what might have been fear. Word had spread about the demonstration, about Daejung running for 6 hours, about human endurance and resilience. Kix was waiting at the power junction, all 4 arms working on the damaged systems. When he saw Taemin, he stopped and performed a Vrelian gesture of greeting. 2 arms crossed over his chest. "You are recovered?" Kix asked. "Completely," Taemin said, holding up his hands. "See? Good as new." "I have been reading about human healing," Kix said. His purple eyes blinked in sequence. "It is remarkable. My species would require synthetic grafts for such injuries, but humans simply regenerate." "Not exactly regenerate," Taemin said, pulling on his work gloves. "More like repair. But yeah, we heal pretty well. They worked in comfortable silence for a while, reconnecting power conduits and testing circuit integrity. Taman found the familiar work soothing after the strange intensity of the past week. "May I ask a personal question?" Kik said eventually. "Sure. Are you afraid? Knowing that other species now view humans as formidable? Potentially threatening?" Taman considered the question while tightening a connection bolt. "I think I'm more worried about being misunderstood," he said finally. "We're not trying to be threatening. We're just trying to live and work and build things. The fact that we're tough, that's just because Earth was tough. It doesn't mean we want to hurt anyone." "I understand," Kik said, "but understanding and instinct are different things. When I see your combat footage, my instinct is fear. When I see you now, my knowledge says friend, but my instinct says danger." "I'm sorry," Taman said. "I don't know how to fix that." "Perhaps it doesn't need fixing," Kix replied. "Perhaps both can be true. You can be my friend and also capable of great endurance and resilience. These are not contradictory." They finished the repairs by late afternoon. Taman was walking back to his quarters when his communicator chimed. Dr. Nala's musical voice came through. "Taman, can you come to the medical bay? There's someone here who wishes to speak with you." When Taman arrived, he found Dr. Nala with one of the Krell delegates from the council. Not Throck, but one of the others. The Krell was massive in the medical bay, his scales gleaming under the lights. His name, the translator provided, was Kask. "Thank you for coming," Kask said. His voice was deep and rumbling. "I wanted to speak with you personally." "About what?" Taman asked cautiously. "About my species' intentions toward humanity," Kask said. "After witnessing the demonstration, after reviewing Dr. Nala's reports, the Krell delegation has reconsidered our planned offensive against human colonies." Relief flooded through Taman. "That's good news." "It is necessary news," Kask corrected. "We viewed humans as soft, weak, easy prey. We were wrong. But more than that, we were wrong about what strength means. Krell value power, sharp claws, thick scales, raw force. We assumed anything soft was vulnerable, but you have shown us that vulnerability and weakness are not the same." Dr. Nala's crystalline body brightened with what Taman had learned was satisfaction. "The Krell have requested formal diplomatic relations with Earth," she said. "Cultural exchange. Scientific cooperation. We wish to understand humans better," Kasich said, "and perhaps for humans to understand us. We are not evil, merely aggressive. It is how we evolved. But we can learn. We can change. Just like how we learned to heal," Taman said. "Evolution isn't just about the past. It's about what comes next." Kask performed a gesture Taman didn't recognize, lowering his head slightly. Wise words from a young species. Perhaps that is another human trait worth studying. After Kask left, Dr. Nala invited Taman to sit. She pulled up a holographic display showing various species, physiological data, comparative charts of everything from bone density to metabolic rates. "I've been thinking about our conversations," she said, "about what makes humans unique. And I realized something important." "What's that?" "You're not unique," Dr. Nala said. "Not completely. Many species have remarkable traits. Threx have incredible precision. Frelians have adaptive fluid systems. Luvanthi have efficient crystalline networks. Every species that survived to space travel is remarkable in some way. So what makes humans different?" Taman asked. "Your combination of traits," Dr. Nala said. "Individually, you're not exceptional at anything. You're not the fastest or strongest or most efficient, but you combine endurance with healing, adaptability with stubbornness, intelligence with social cooperation. You're generalists who refuse to give up. That combination, that's what makes you formidable." She zoomed in on the human data. "And perhaps more importantly, you retain your adaptability. Many species reach a comfortable level of technology and stop pushing. We solve problems with the tools we have. But humans, you're always trying to improve, always pushing boundaries. You take a planet that tried to kill you and you turn it into home. You take injuries that should be fatal and you survive them. You meet other species and you try to understand them rather than conquering them." "We're not perfect," Taman said. "We have wars, conflicts, we hurt each other sometimes." "All species do," Dr. Nala said. "The question is whether you learn from it. And based on what I've seen, humans do learn. Slowly, painfully, but you learn." A week later, Taman was back in the medical bay, this time voluntarily. Dr. Nala had asked if he would participate in a comprehensive human physiology database, detailed scans and information. That would be shared with coalition medical facilities throughout the galaxy. He agreed. Bora was conducting the scans, her movements efficient and professional. This will help so much, she said. When the next human gets injured on a coalition station, the doctors will know how to treat them. They'll understand our healing capabilities, our pain tolerance, our nutritional needs. Glad I could help, Taemin said. You did more than help, Bora said. She paused the scan and looked at him directly. You changed how the galaxy sees us. Before, we were just the new species, interesting but unproven. Now we're respected. Maybe even feared a little, but respected too. I just got burned and went to the doctor, Taemin said. I didn't do anything special. You existed, Bora said. You showed them what human biology looks like. Sometimes that's enough. The final scan completed. Bora saved the data and shut down the equipment. Dr. Nala entered from her office carrying a data tablet. The council has made a formal decision, she announced. Humans are being granted full coalition membership, with all associated rights and protections. Earth will have a permanent seat on the council. Humanity is officially recognized as a sentient species with equal standing. We weren't before? Taemin asked, surprised. You were probationary, Dr. Nala explained. Most new species are for at least a decade. It's standard procedure. Make sure a species can integrate peacefully before granting full membership. But after the past weeks, after everything that's been learned about humans, the council voted to accelerate the process. Because they're afraid of us, Taemin said quietly. Because they respect you, Dr. Nala corrected. Fear and respect are often confused, but they're different. Fear makes you avoid something. Respect makes you want it as an ally. She held out her crystalline hand. Taemin took it, feeling the cool, hard surface against his warm skin and soft muscle. Two completely different evolutionary paths, two completely different solutions to the problem of survival, but both successful, both worthy. Welcome to the coalition, Dr. Nala said. Fully and completely. That evening, Taemin stood at the observation deck looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, brutal, beautiful Earth, the planet that had forged humanity into what it was. He thought about his burned hands now completely healed, about Daejung running for 6 hours, about Yunji fighting with a shattered arm, about his own childhood accident and the scar that remained. Every human carried these stories. Injuries survived, obstacles overcome, pain endured. It was who they were, not because they wanted to be tough, but because their planet had demanded it. Because evolution didn't care about fairness or comfort, it only cared about survival, and humanity had survived. Despite everything Earth threw at them, despite predators and disease and disasters, humanity had survived. They'd learned to stand upright in high gravity. They'd learned to regulate temperature through extreme climate swings. They'd learned to heal from injuries that would kill most species. They'd learned to keep going when every instinct said to stop. Bora joined him at the viewport. She was carrying 2 drinks, something warm and sweet from the station's cafe. Thinking deep thoughts? She asked, handing him a cup. Just thinking about home, Taemin said. About what made us this way. Earth? Earth, Taemin confirmed. A death world that we somehow turned into home. I never really appreciated how strange that was until I left. My professor at medical school used to say that every human is a miracle, Bora said. Not in a religious sense, but in a statistical sense. The number of things that had to go right for any of us to exist. The evolutionary pressures, the genetic lottery, the ancestors who survived long enough to reproduce, it's astronomical. That's true for any species, isn't it? Taemin asked. Yes, Bora agreed. But humans make it look harder. We evolved in conditions that most species would consider unsurvivable. And we didn't just survive, we thrived. We built civilizations, developed technology, reached space. We did all of that while fighting gravity and weather and predators and our own limitations. She sipped her drink, looking thoughtful. Dr. Nala told me something interesting. She said that when Luvanthi evolved intelligence, it was natural. Their crystalline structure made information storage easy. When Vrelians developed technology, it was efficient. Their fluid systems were perfect for hydraulic engineering. But when humans achieved all of it, it was stubborn. We brute-forced our way to intelligence and technology through sheer determination to survive. Taemin smiled. Stubborn. Yeah, that sounds like us. They stood in comfortable silence, watching ships come and go from the station. A Threx cargo vessel docked at Bay 12. A Luvanthi science ship departed for deep space exploration. The galaxy turning, continuing, full of life and diversity. You know what I think? Taemin said eventually. I think maybe our stubbornness is our greatest gift. Not our muscles or our healing or our endurance, though those are impressive, but our refusal to accept that something is impossible. We looked at space, which wanted to kill us, and we went there anyway. We met aliens, which could have killed us, and we tried to be friends instead. We get injured and we heal. We get knocked down and we get back up. We're survivors, Bora said. We're more than survivors, Taemin corrected. We're hopers. We survive because we hope for something better. We endure because we believe tomorrow will be worth it. That's what Earth taught us, not just how to survive, but why. Movement beneath his skin caught his attention. He flexed his hand, watching the tendons slide, the muscles contract. The same movement that had started this whole chain of events. The simple, automatic action that revealed to the galaxy what humans truly were. Not monsters, not warriors, not an unstoppable force. Just people. People who refused to quit. People who healed from wounds. People who kept going when everything hurt. People who looked at a hostile universe and said, "We belong here too." Dr. Nala had been right. Vulnerability and weakness weren't the same thing. Humans were vulnerable, soft skin, breakable bones, muscles that could be torn. But they weren't weak. They were adaptable. They were resilient. They were stubborn enough to turn their vulnerabilities into strengths. Come on, Bora said, finishing her drink. Yosung is organizing a dinner, human food for anyone who wants to try it. Half the medical staff signed up. They want to understand human nutrition now. Taemin laughed. Of course they do. What are we serving? Korean barbecue, Bora said with a grin. Figured we'd show them what Earth food really tastes like. Dr. Nala was concerned about the protein content. I told her humans need a lot of calories. Because we're always fighting gravity, Taemin said, remembering the conversation in the medical bay. Because we're human, Bora corrected. And being human takes energy. They walked together through the station corridors past aliens of a dozen different species. Some nodded in greeting. Some moved aside to let them pass. Some watched with curiosity or respect, or that mix of both that Kix had described. Taemin thought about Kask the Krell, reconsidering war because he finally understood his potential enemy. About Throck collapsed after 5 hours when Daejung could have kept going for hours more. About Dr. Nala, her initial fear transforming into understanding and respect. The galaxy was learning about humanity, and humanity was learning about the galaxy. Both sides were adapting, adjusting, finding ways to coexist. Just like muscles adapting to new stresses. Just like bones healing stronger at the break. Just like humans had always done. Adapting, surviving, continuing. Taemin looked at his hands one more time. Completely healed. No sign of the burns that had started everything. In another week, even the pink skin would fade to normal. By next month, there would be no evidence of the injury at all. But the impact would remain. The galaxy now knew what moved beneath human skin. Not parasites or invaders, but the evidence of Earth's harsh teaching. The proof that humanity had earned its place among the stars. And maybe, Taemin thought, that was the most important lesson of all. Not that humans were strong or tough or unstoppable, but that they had survived something worth surviving. That they had learned something worth sharing. That they had become something worth knowing. He flexed his fingers one last time, feeling the muscles move, the tendons pull, the bones shift, his body doing what it was designed to do, what millions of years of evolution had built it for, survival, and now maybe something more, understanding.